So now I would like to hand it over to DiLenny, who is going to be speaking about preventing injuries at home and at play. Thanks, DiLenny.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm super excited to talk about home injuries and play injuries. I'm going to real quick on the chat just put in a little bit contact information and who I am, so you can jot that down if you need anything going forward. So I'm going to talk fast, so listen up. Go ahead. So unintentional injuries is what I'm going to talk today about for children between the ages of 0 and 19 years old. Unintentional injuries are basically what most people call accidents. The reason why we don't use the word accidents is because accidents are basically mostly preventable with very small changes. However, the problem is that there's so many deaths that happen, 20 deaths a day due to unintentional injuries or preventable accidents, right? And amongst that, the biggest problem, especially for the younger kids, is hospitalization of over 200,000 a year. These numbers obviously every year go up, and you see a lot, almost 5 million emergency department visits, which cause billions and billions of dollars of just medical costs alone, not including other costs. So you can see that the deaths are just the tip of the iceberg, and everything else just kind of fills in on that triangle. So we are on our next slide, which shows a chart, which basically just gives you an idea. I think I'm seeing the first slide. There we go. So which basically just gives you an idea. Just concentrate on the first line that looks between the ages of 1 and 14. If you look at that, these are deaths, the leading causes of death for children, right? So under the age of 1 is unintentional suffocation. Then after 1 year old, we have drowning. It's such a big problem in this country right now. There's a lot of drownings happening, and it's going to get worse as the months get warmer. And then we jump into unintentional motor vehicle and crashes, and that is, you can see the numbers basically jump up. And then we go into unintentional poisoning, which is the opioid epidemic, which is affecting many, many people. But unintentional injuries is basically the #1 killer of people from the ages of 1 through 44 years old. And the majority of these injuries and accidents are actually happening in your own home. So this is why we're here today. Our small children, they spend a lot of time at home. And now with the summer coming up, they're going to spend even more time at home and in the playground. So happy to teach you a little bit about how we can keep them safe. Now, our last slides talked about deaths from injuries, but the non-fatal injuries, which are the ones that take you to the hospital and the emergency rooms, are way more. So we saw on the triangle that those were the ones at the bottom of the triangle, right at the base of the triangle. If you look at the first line again, look how big the numbers are compared to the first chart that I showed. So in this case, in non-fatal injuries, falls are the #1 cause of unintentional injuries for all ages. So we're going from like little tiny babies to grandmas and grandpas and beyond. So why falls, right? Because you can fall off of something, you can fall out of something, they fall inside of something, and they fall from something. So just a little graphic there to kind of give you a visual of what things the kids can fall from. Just keep pressing so you can see everything from your couch to your bathtub to your window, and of course the playgrounds, which we will talk about later. And then, like I said, these are preventable accidents, right? So we have things that we can use that can completely change the way your home works for you and the children, and maintain and keeping them out of the hospital. So safety gates are very important for falls because you can keep them out of your kitchen. You can keep them from coming up the stairs or down the stairs, and you can keep them away from your pets, which are also a big issue sometimes when you're introducing new children to your maybe older pets who don't know how to play around with them. So baby safety gates are always one key thing to prevent falls. Unless you have one of these little guys who, those will not only require you to have a safety gate, you're going to require you to be very, very close to them, high supervision, and also keep your homes clutter free as much as you can, toys out of the floor, because those become hazard and tripping hazards and fall hazards. More things that you can do to prevent falls is use doorknob covers so the kids are not coming out of the door, maybe falling out of stairs from your building, right? You can't put your safety gate there, but you can certainly prevent the kids from coming out of your apartment, right? So then you have window guards. So there's some that you can buy, like the one on the top here, you can just buy them and stick them right on. And then a lot of windows actually have their own that you can like use like a little pen, and it pops out and it helps keep the distance basically less than one of the baby's heads. And babies and young toddlers, their heads are super big, and so they usually topple over just from standing around. So this is why you get like a 3-inch slot that you can open the window. Other things are like non-slip bath decals that can help them from falling in the bathtub, and of course safety gates. So another big issue that we have in our homes is basically fires and scalds. Obviously, when we're cooking, we want to keep our kids away from the kitchen. Again, that safety gate comes into play. And then you want to keep the handles from your pots looking towards the back of the stove, or if you're boiling something, make it on the last burner, right? There's also scald issues from our baths, so we have to make sure to always test our water before putting in our children. And also our electrical outlets are a big draw for some reason to our children, so they have little things called outlet plugs that can be bought. So you can see from this cute little chart that it's not cute. 44% of scalds and injury that causes children to go into the emergency room is basically just from hot liquids. So keep them away from the cup of noodle soups and your chocolate and things like that, because they become a very big issue for having to take them to the emergency room. Continue. Another crazy thing that's been happening over the last 10 years is button batteries. These things are being basically picked up by our children because they're falling out of your keys, they're falling out of even toys, your batteries for your remote control, and it's becoming just an all-around issue, not just for children but your pets too. And the kids and the pets are ingesting these things, they're eating them, and then it burns a hole through their stomach and their internal organs, and it's a horrible thing to see, and we've seen plenty of them here in New York City. So go through your home, just check to see what actually uses these types of batteries and keep them away from there. You can also use this cute little duck that tells you if it's hot or not in there. Smoke detectors and plug and outlet plug holders are great ways to keep your home safe. Another thing we don't think about is strangulation from our Venetian blinds. Just keep them high and keep them tied up as much as you can. They have little cord holders that you can see pictured here that are very helpful for that as well. As you saw on the first slide, suffocation for the children ages 1 and under is the biggest issue for deafs especially. These are the ones that they're called SIDS, and it's usually because the kids are put into their crib with all of these toys and all of these fluffy pillows, and then they suffocate because they don't really know how to maybe move their heads, so depending on their development. So just be careful with that. Your child is safest all alone in his crib or her crib and on their back. The least things you put on them, the better. If it's cold, put a soft blanket, and that's all about they need. They don't really need toys, fluffy anything, stuffed animals, pillows. They'll be just fine. Continue. And this is just a graphic of other things that may affect your children. Make it not too hot, not too cold. Obviously, secondhand smoke and smoking is just a terrible thing to have for anyone, but it definitely gives them, it's a bigger problem when you have children in your home. A big thing that we've also been seeing is basically furniture and TV falling on our young children. And it's because only like 25% or 1 out of 4 parents actually secure their TVs properly. So as the TVs keep getting bigger, our furniture seems to stay the same size. When you buy a new TV or you have a big TV, you have to make sure to either put it on the wall in a wall, safe bracket, or you have to make sure that the table that this TV is on is basically much larger than the actual TV that it's sitting in. So that is the key to making sure that these kids don't end up in the hospital due to a TV or something falling on them. Because we're seeing a lot of kids coming into the emergency room because of this. We're seeing like 1 kid every 46 minutes. And over the years, we're seeing 12,000 or more, usually like 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, because they're the ones who are, pretty mobile and they get around a lot. So the things that you least expect is what's gonna like maybe fall on them. So don't put toys, don't put anything that might catch their attention on top of furniture. Another thing that we usually have on us is our bags. So poisoning is a big problem. Luckily, we have a poison control center that we can call if there's a problem. Well, I'll give you that number. And basically in our bags, we carry so many things that are hazardous, not just to our kids, but to us as well. We can go to the next slide. Let me see if I can move it. Oh, I can move it. Or not. So we carry in there, we might have our medication. Medication's a huge problem. 40% of children who actually end up in emergency rooms is because they're taking medication that's not theirs, usually their grandparents. But we carry these in our purses and they're just there. Hand sanitizer, even our lipstick, they can become an issue. And now, due to the new laws, a lot of people are walking around with edibles. And while it's by law you can't carry edibles and you can carry vapes and you can carry all of these things, those are hazardous to our children, and we want to keep them straight away from them because we are seeing just tons of kids coming into the emergency room basically like very lethargic and high. And we haven't seen any death. We don't want to see children going through that. So like I said, 40% of prescriptions that the children come into are due to prescriptions from their grandparents. So basically, pills that we usually take look like candy to the kids. And a lot of us teach our children to take their gummies, their vitamin gummies, and say, oh, look, it's candy. Please don't do that, because it encourages them to believe that anything that they find that may be a medication is equivalent to candy. So our poison control center actually sees over 2.2 million calls for children under the age of 5. So, and if you like cleaning with colorful products like Fabuloso and Mistolin, these are great. I love them myself. Just keep them out of the reach of children. There are cabinet locks that help us do that. So take note of this number, 1-800-222-1222. And if you have any questions, if you think your child has ingested something, even yourself, just give them a call and they'll tell you what to do. Again, like I said, doorknob covers, cabinet drawer latches, keep this number nice and handy, and anything that is probably a poison to your child, keep them out of sight and out of reach. I think this might be a duplicate slide that looks very similar, but it's just showing you the different things that we can use to prevent an injury. So we're gonna move on to playground safety, because it's definitely going to happen. We're out and about. It's nice and sunny here in New York today, and I'm taking my kids to the playground. But 200,000 children are injured on playgrounds every year, and that's about 500 kids a day. And there, guess what? They're falling off of something, falling out of something, falling face first out of something. They are just falling everywhere. So let's talk about how we can keep our kids safe in playgrounds. The first thing is, as soon as you get to a playground, check out the surface. If it doesn't have about 8 to 12 inches of wood chips, mulch, sand, something safe, we need to think about, do we really want our kids playing there? Now, if you have kids between the ages of 2 and 5, they need to be on that little playground that looks really boring, but it's actually pretty challenging for them. And then the bigger kids have to stay on the big side. We don't want to put them together. Look at those S hooks on the swings. Look at any bolts that are coming out. Don't put drawstrings on your kids when you take them to the playground. These things are very dangerous because they can get caught on them. If you take your kid on the scooter or on a bike to the playground with a helmet, of course, we don't want them playing on the playground with a helmet on. That is very, very dangerous. They can get caught in there and trapped into the equipment. And then the other thing that we want to do, just check and make sure that everything is good. There's no tripping hazards. There's nothing that can burn your children. So touch the playground equipment to make sure that it's safe for them. And if you have little ones and it's so fun to go down the slide, do not put them on your lap and go down the slide with them. Wait a couple of months and they will be developmentally ready to do it by themselves. If you put them on your lap, their leg can easily get caught on the side between your hips and the slide, and it will break their legs. We have seen this over and over again. Once you start going down, even if it's just like an inch, that's enough to break a tiny little leg. So keep them off your laps. And supervision for home and supervision for your playgrounds is key. So thank you for coming today and listening. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And here we also have, if you want to just check out what a safe playground looks like, I have a resource here that you can check out and see if your particular playground is actually safe. If it's not, let your legislators know and the people who work for you on government to change these playgrounds and make it safe for your children. That's what they're there for. Again, adult supervision is always required, no matter what the children are doing or where they are, even in your home right next to you. And thank you. Gracias. We are Morgan Stanley Children's Hospital Injury-Free Coalition for Kids and the Injury Prevention Team. And so happy to hear from you guys. And I'm done. If I have to, I'll use these other resources to show that there's lots of dangers out there. Oh, you're muted.
Thank you so much for coming today and for explaining how safety can be really important, not only in the home, but on the playground. Right now, I am not seeing any specific questions. And I just had a little question. So when you were going over the slides, you said just 1 inch of movement can be enough to break that little leg, right? And so even if the parent feels as if they're, going down that slide properly, it's still dangerous, right?
It's definitely dangerous because we are just much bigger than the child. And so once you get that forward movement that the slide is supposed to provide, we feel we're not moving, we actually are moving. And just 1 inch alone, if that child's leg gets caught in between you and the slide, for the most part, it's gonna get at least minimally twisted. So you don't want that, because you still have to go to the emergency room for that, and the emergency rooms are annoying. I work there, I know.
Absolutely. And this was very informative. Thank you so much for joining. And
if you have like a second, I can show you just a few things that you can use. Do I have?
Absolutely.
So these are stove covers that you can put on your stove to make sure that the kids do not turn the knobs. These are very important to keep the children out of, first to keep them out of the kitchen. But if they do get in, you can use these stove covers. These are the doorknob covers, and basically it's just going to keep going around and around, and they won't be able to open it. And this is a cabinet lock. I'll go here. And very easy to use so that you can put it on there. This protects our kids' heads from bumping into the bathtub, and our little duck that tells us if the water's hot or not. So, and this is the cute little thing that you can use to prevent strangulation from your Venetian blinds. I basically keep my headphones in there because I am not about that life of the iPods. But those are just a few little things that we talked about and just wanted to show you in real time. Thank you.
Yeah, and so we have some comments here that say that they're really appreciating this material. They can't wait to share this info, and a lot of people thanking you for coming and sharing this information.
Everyone. You can definitely, I left my information in the chat, and you have it from the presentation as well. You can always give me, hit me up by email or even a call. And if you have a question, we can definitely help you. And we're also national. So anywhere that you may be right now, we have an injury-free coalition for kids in your city. So.
That is perfect. Thank you so much for this information, DiLenny. We loved your lively presentation, very informative. I hope everybody can enjoy the rest of your day, and we will be sending out the link for this live recording. And thank you again, DiLenny.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
You as well. Bye-bye.